Hey, real quick, before I begin this presentation, I just have to put a warning in the beginning of the video because I do have some graphic images, and if this is triggering or if it makes you queasy or it's going to give you nightmares, please do not watch this video. You've been warned. Hello everybody, it's Diva Alexandra and I'm back here with another video. I hope that this video finds you all in great spirits and in great health. Now today I want to do something different. I don't want to make a video about comedy and about pranks because let's face it, that's pretty much all I do, and occasional vlogs. But in this video I actually put some time and effort and some thought into it because it's something that I hold dear to my heart. And the reason I do is because I was raised in a Christian household, and I was raised to believe in God and pray to Jesus and pray to God, and I grew up with those values in my life. And I'm proud of it, you know. And now that I'm an adult, I'm very spiritual, and I constantly want to strive to be the best person that I can be and love and give love whenever I can. I have to be selfless to others because you have to do God's work while you're here. It's so easy to do the wrong thing, but sometimes you just have to do the right thing. It may be more difficult, but it's the right thing to do. So on that note, it's important that we all discuss this in the comment section. I want to hear everybody's opinion on this. I want to discuss in the book of Exodus the plagues that hit Egypt. I also want to discuss the plagues that hit Egypt, and are there similarities in that today? Do we find these same plagues today in our existence? And also, do the Exodus plagues have similarities in the book of Revelation? Which, if you are not aware, the book of Revelation is a part in the Bible that is discussing the end of the world and the huge war that ensues with God and with the devil. So on that note, I want to start off by saying that when I was a little girl, my grandmother and we used to read the Bible all the time. And it was a fun thing to do because we would get a lot of knowledge, and she would also read the Bible in Spanish, and it actually helped me to learn how to read and write in Spanish. So I'll always love you for that, Grandma. So anyways, back to what I was saying. I want you guys in the comment section to reply. I want to hear what you guys have to say in regards to this. I'm going to put clips in this video about what I'm discussing and the similarities, because I find that in my research there's a lot of similarities here, guys, and it's scary. So again, I'm going to discuss three things. First, I'm going to discuss the plagues that happened in Exodus. I'm also going to discuss if those same plagues are manifesting today, and also if there are similarities within the plagues and revelations. Because if that's the case, then this is truly the end of times. So let's see how many of these plagues are existing in our time now. So in the next clip, I'm going to show you the first plague. So the first plague that we find in the book of Exodus, chapter 7, verses 17 through 18, it says, "Thus says the Lord, by this you shall know that I am the Lord. Behold, I will strike the water that is in the Nile with the staff that is in my hand, and it will be turned to blood. The fish that are in the Nile will die, and the Nile will become foul. And the Egyptians will find difficulty in drinking water from the Nile." Okay, so the first plague, the first sign was water turned to blood. Now let's see if there is a similarity in the book of Revelations as well. And as I researched this, you guys, you're not going to believe it, it's there. Okay, in Revelations chapter 8, verses 8 through 9, it says, "The second angel sounded, and something like a great mountain burning with fire was thrown into the sea. And a third of the sea became blood," guys. And a third of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died, and a third of the ships were destroyed. And also it tells you in Revelations chapter 11 verse 6 that these two witnesses have the power to shut up the sky so that rain will not fall during the days of their prophesying. And they have power over the waters to turn them into blood and to strike the earth with every plague as often as they desire. And it also tells you in Revelations chapter 16 verses 3 through 6, it says, the second angel poured out his bowl into the sea, and it became blood like that of a dead man, and every living thing in the sea died. Then the third angel poured out his bowl into the rivers and the springs of waters, and they became blood. And I heard the angel of the waters saying, righteous are you, who are and who were, O Holy One, because you judged these things. For they poured out the blood of saints and prophets, and you have given them blood to drink. They deserve it. So as you can see in Revelations, there are several references to blood and the waters, the bodies of waters here on earth. So there are similarities between Exodus and Revelations. So now I'm going to show you guys actual footage of what's going on here in the planet Earth. And yes, our waters are turning to the color of blood, guys, and it is happening. And I'm going to insert these clips right now so you guys can witness across the earth where these bodies of waters are being turned to blood. And in this first clip we have Okay, so in this next clip, I wanted to demonstrate that when you go on Bing or if you go on Google and you type in bloody waters or bloody oceans or red rivers, you're gonna see this, okay? So now we know that the biblical plagues really happened because science is telling us that it really happened. All right, these biblical plagues that devastated ancient Egypt, that's written in the Old Testament and Exodus, were the result of global biblical plagues that really happened. And science has told us this. The Bible tells us this. Now, when we go to Revelations, it tells us as well, as I just read before, which Revelations is discussing the end times. Okay? The end times, the end of the world, when the battle between good and evil happens. This is one of the signs in the Old Testament, New Testament, and now in reality, guys. So let's just say that the first plague is a match for all three. So next, I want to discuss the second plague, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to read the verses from the book of Exodus, Revelation, and I'm going to check to see if this is happening right here on the planet. So in this next clip we have Plague of Frogs. And here we have Exodus chapter 8 verses 1 through 4. And the Lord spoke to Moses, "Go to Pharaoh and say to him, Thus says the Lord, let my people go, that they may serve me. But if you refuse to let them go, behold, I will smite all your territory with frogs. So the rivers shall bring forth frogs abundantly, which shall go up and come into your house, into your bedroom, on your bed, into the houses of your servants, on your people, into your ovens, and into your kneading bowls. And the frogs shall come up on you, and your people, and on all your servants." Now let's see if there's anything in Revelations, which is the end times prophecy. And we do have something mentioned about the frogs. Wow, is this so similar, huh? It says, "And I saw coming out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet, 3 unclean spirits like frogs, for they are spirits of demons, performing signs, which go out to the kings of the whole world, to gather them together for the war of the great day of God the Almighty." Okay, now I don't think I've ever heard about plagues of frogs happening on the planet Earth. So let's just see if this is happening. Let's just check Google and let's see what the results are. Or Bing, let's see. So it's true. It is happening on the earth. It has happened in the past and it's happening again. So these are signs of the times. The second plague matches all 3. What other plagues are there in the 10 plagues of Egypt? Let's check out plague number 3. Let's see if it matches up with Revelations and if it's happening right now on the planet Earth. The third plague is plague of lice or gnats. So the Lord said to Moses, "Say to Aaron, stretch out your rod and strike the dust of the land, so that it may become lice throughout all of the land of Egypt." And they did so. For Aaron stretched out his hand with his rod and struck the dust of the earth, and it became lice on man and beast. All the dust of the land became lice throughout all the land of Egypt. And this is clearly written in Exodus chapter 8, verses 16 through 17. Now, on my research for Revelations, I did not find anything that specifically spoke about plagues of lice or gnats. However, they may be among the plagues that were brought by the 2 witnesses, so we don't know. So that's what I'm going to just assume could be. It doesn't really specifically say it in the Revelations. However, on the next clip, I'm going to show you some evidence of the lice. I mean, everybody knows lice happens like every year in schools, and children somehow wind up getting the lice, and it's really strange how that happens. But you know, there's evidence of that, but there's some new evidence of something else with lice. And I'm going to put the clips on the next. So here we have plague of flies. And from the book of Exodus, chapter 8, verses 20 to 22 says, "And the Lord said to Moses, Rise early in the morning and stand before Pharaoh as he comes out to the water. Then say to him, Thus says the Lord, Let my people go, that they may serve me. Or else, if you will not let my people go, behold, I will send swarms of flies on you and your servants, on your people and into your houses. The houses of the Egyptians shall be full of swarms of flies, and also the ground on which they stand. And in that day I will set apart the land of Goshen, in which my people dwell, that no swarms of flies shall be there, in order that you may know that I am the Lord in the midst of the land." So I went to check in the book of Revelations, and I didn't find anything specifically talking about plagues of flies. However, there are two witnesses that do bring forth plagues with them, so we don't know if it's, the flies and the gnats, or the lice. I mean, there's plagues that are not specific in Revelation, so I would have to think that these might be connected somehow. So in the next slides, I'm going to show you plagues of flies that are happening already on this planet Earth, so you can see that this is happening. Check this out, guys. So the next plague that we have is the plague of livestock. And I'm going to read from Exodus chapter 9, verses 1 through 4. "Then the Lord said to Moses, Go into Pharaoh and tell him, Thus says the Lord God of the Hebrews, Let my people go, that they may serve me. For if you refuse to let them go, and still hold them, behold, the hand of the Lord will be on your cattle in the field, on the horses, on the donkeys, on the camels, on the oxen, and on the sheep, a very severe pestilence. And the Lord will make a difference between the livestock of Israel and the livestock of Egypt." So I went to the book of Revelations because I wanted to see if there was a connection there as well. And of course, if you go to Revelations chapter 6, verse 8, it says, "I looked, and behold, an ashen horse, and he who sat on it had the name Death, and Hades was following with him. Authority was given them over a fourth of the earth, to kill with the sword, and with famine, and with pestilence, and by the wild beasts of the earth." And on the next clip, I am going to show you what I have found on the internet. I found a website that actually lists all the mass animal deaths. Check it out on Google or Bing. Just search mass animal deaths. You'll see it'll say something about prophecy. So check out these next clips. really have to pray for our animals here on this planet. The next plague is the plague of the boils. And I'm going to read from Exodus chapter 9, verses 8 through 9. It says, "So the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, 'Take for yourselves handfuls of ashes from a furnace, and let Moses scatter it towards the heavens in the sight of the Pharaoh, and it will become fine dust in all the land of Egypt. And it will cause boils that break out in sores in man and beast throughout all the land of Egypt.'" So as you can see, this happened in Egypt. There's evidence, science proves that this really did happen. And in Revelations, you can see this in chapter 16, verse 2. It says, "So the first angel went and poured out his bowl on the earth, and it became a loathsome and malignant sore." And as you know, there are malignant sores still to this day in cancer and in all kinds of plagues. I'm going to show you now in the next slides proof that this is happening in these times. So we're going to just jump right into the next plague that affected Egypt. We're going to start out by reading Exodus chapter 9, verses 22 to 23. It says, "Then the Lord said to Moses, 'Stretch out your hand toward heaven, that there may be hail in all the land of Egypt, on man, on beast, and on every herb of the field throughout the land of Egypt.' And Moses stretched out his rod toward heaven, and the Lord sent thunder and hail, and fire darted to the ground, and the Lord rained hail on the land of Egypt." And I wanted to see if this was already prophesied in the book of Revelations. And so I went and saw that in Revelations chapter 8, verse 7, it said, "The first sounded, and there came hail and fire mixed with blood, and they were thrown to the earth, and a third of the earth was burned up, and a third of the trees were burned up, and all the green grass was burned up." Now I do know that hail does happen in some horrible storms, and some of the sizes of these hails are just gigantic, like golf balls size. And I do know that there's been horrible fires in California and really powerful lightning in these storms. So I'm going to post pictures of some of these disturbing storms and evidence that are happening in this day and age. Check this out. the next plague, which is the 8th plague of the 10 plagues that struck Egypt, we have the plague of locusts, guys. Locusts. This is stated in Exodus chapter 10, verses 4 through 5. And it says, "If you refuse to let my people go, behold, tomorrow I will bring locusts into your territory, and they shall cover the face of the earth, so that no one will be able to see the earth. And they shall eat the residue of what is left, which remains to you from the hail. And they shall eat every tree which grows up for you out of the field." And I went and I looked to see, just to see if this was stated in the book of Revelations. And in the book of Revelations, it is stated that in chapter 9, verse 3 through 4, it says, "Then out of the smoke came locusts upon the earth, and power was given them, as the scorpions of the earth have power." So as you see in Revelations, it also speaks of locusts. And now I'm going to see if locust plagues are happening on this earth or starting to happen. And my results are on the next clip. Now in this next clip, I want to show you, this is in Las Vegas. And as you can see, there's, I don't know if you can tell, but those are all grasshoppers on top of this pyramid. And there's a light shining off of the pyramid into the sky. And all of these grasshoppers were swarming that area. And they were all following the light into the sky. And it's funny, but if you really think about it, Egypt is infamous for their pyramids, and this is in Las Vegas. There's a pyramid in Las Vegas at the Luxor. So, is it a coincidence that there's grasshoppers on top of this pyramid, giving you a sign of the times, perhaps? Signs of the times? Locusts on top of a pyramid. This happened in Exodus. It's referred in Revelations, and it's happening now. Moving right along to the 9th plague that struck Egypt, the 9th plague out of 10. It says here in Exodus chapter 10, verse 21 through 22, it says, "Then the Lord said to Moses, stretch out your hand toward heaven, that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, darkness which may even be felt. So Moses stretched out his hand toward heaven, and there was thick darkness in all the land of Egypt 3 days." And you guys, if you actually search Google or Bing, you can see that science has said that this happened. This happened back in the day. And in Revelations, there is proof that this is going to happen in the future. It says Revelations chapter 16, verse 10 through 11. It says, "Then the 5th angel poured out his bowl on the throne of the beast, and his kingdom became darkened, and they gnawed their tongues because of pain." You guys, let's see if this is relevant in our day and age now. Let's see what's going on with this. I don't know if you guys are aware, but Bill Gates is funding a project with Harvard to block out the sun. If you are not aware of this project, you can check out my YouTube channel. I have a video on this. And as you can see, there are some sick people in this world that are trying to block out our sun, our only form of energy. And I want you just to imagine what our life would be like if they succeed in this project, if they succeed in blocking out our sun. No light source, no energy source. Just imagine the chaos here on the planet Earth. We have sick people in our world right now that have billions of dollars, and they're so bored in their life that this is what they're doing with their money. They're funding projects to block out the sun. They want to bring forth the end times. The end time signs are already here, guys, and I want to prove it with this video. Open your eyes. Please pay attention to what's happening around us. And the next slide is going to be the 10th plague, which is the plague of the firstborn, death of the firstborn. You can find this in Exodus chapter 11, verse 4 through 7, and it says, "Then Moses said, 'Thus says the Lord, about midnight I will go out into the midst of Egypt, and all the firstborn in the land of Egypt shall die, from the firstborn of Pharaoh who sits on his throne, even to the firstborn of the female servant who is behind the handmill, and all the firstborn of the animals. Then there shall be a great cry throughout all the land of Egypt, such as was not like it before, nor shall be like it again. But against none of the children of Israel shall a dog move its tongue, against man or beast, that you may know that the Lord does make a difference between the Egyptians and Israel." And in the book of Revelations, if you go to chapter 19, verses 19 through 21, you can see a connection there. It says, "And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies assembled to make war against him, Yeshua, who sat on the horse, and against his army. And the beast was seized, and with him the false prophet who performed the signs in his presence, by which he deceived those who had received the mark of the beast and those who worshipped his image. These two were thrown alive into the lake of fire which burns with brimstone, and the rest were killed with the sword which came from the mouth of him who sat on the horse, and all the birds were filled with their flesh." So as you can see, it says, "and the rest were killed." This could be talking about the firstborns. And now I'm going to put my next clips on my take on the death of firstborns here, what's happening here on the planet Earth, the signs of the time. I know. Isn't it so sad, guys, what I've just shown you? It's the signs of the times. It's already been written in scripture. It's already been prophesized, and it's happening now, and It's either happened in the past or it's starting to happen. And all 10 plagues that struck Egypt in the Old Testament, which science has said has happened, you can find in Google today. These are recent events. This is all just manifesting, okay? And we're running out of time. We are running out of time. You need to open your eyes and see what's going on to this planet. I'm going to pray, and I expect every one of you that is watching this, please pray for the planet, for our animals, for the humans. Pray for the evil ones too. They need the most prayers. They're the ones that are the lost ones, the ones that are committing these mass murders, the ones that are raping, the ones that are just, just doing the devil's work here. We need to pray for them, for those lost spirits. I did this video because growing up, I used to read the Bible with my grandmother, and she was everything to me, and she used to warn me that the end times were coming. And now I can just put all the signs together. You could Google them, Bing them. They're there. Please pray, you guys. We really, truly need them.